When a Canadian employer is in the process of hiring a foreign national by submitting something called an offer of employment, one of the pieces of information that the employer must include on the offer of employment is information on the wages that the foreign worker will be paid. Now, those wages must conform with what's known as the median prevailing wage. That is, it must be similar to wages paid to others performing the same duties in the same general geographic location as a foreign worker. Welcome back. My name is Donovan Francis. I'm a Canadian immigration lawyer at Goose Law Immigration, where we help businesses with their employees' work permits and save them from all of the legal hassle. In this video, we want to talk about the importance or the relevance of including wages, a detailed description of the wages that a foreign worker is going to be paid, where that foreign worker is being hired through a program that requires the employer to submit an offer of employment. Now, to give you a bit of context, the general rule in Canada is that in order for an employer to hire a foreign national, that employer must first get the government's go-ahead, okay? And that go-ahead typically comes in the form of a labor market impact assessment, an LMIA. However, there are exemptions or exceptions to that rule, and these are generally referred to as LMIA exemptions. So where an employer is wanting to hire a foreign national, and that employment, that job, fits under one of the exemptions, then the employer does not have to go the LMIA route. Instead, the employer goes the route of the offer of employment, meaning the employer still has to submit something to the government, and the government still has to have a final say in approving that work permit application. However, that happens through what's called the offer of employment, where the employer is able to submit an offer of employment through the government's online employer portal. So the employer has their own personalized account that allows them to submit this offer of employment to the government online through the government's employer portal. And then the government is able to review that information and then generate what's called an A number that the employer in turn hands to the employee, and the employee uses that as part of their work permit application. Now, it's important for the employer to include a number of different pieces of information in the offer of employment, but for the purposes of this video, our focus is on the salary. There's a general requirement that where a foreign worker is being hired inside Canada, that foreign worker must be paid at the median prevailing wage. Now, the median prevailing wage is determined, is dictated by the Government of Canada through the ESDC. They state what the salary should be depending on the type of duties, depending on the role that the worker is going to be performing in Canada, one, and two, depending on the physical work location that the foreign worker will be working from. So depending on where in Canada, somebody who's coming, say, as a developer, software developer, maybe the median prevailing wage may vary depending on where in Canada that person is going to be physically working from, where in Canada their work location is. So a developer going to Calgary, Alberta is likely going to be paid a different salary from a developer going to Toronto, Ontario, because the prevailing wage is set by the government and is dictated by your geographic location, work location inside Canada. So that's very important to understand about wages and why that's relevant in the application for a work permit for a foreign national. It's also necessary to include this information on the wages in the offer of employment, because the Canadian immigration authorities are going to be using that information at some point in the future if they decide that they want to verify that the employer has been conforming to the terms that would have been outlined in the offer of employment. And so one of the things that the government will do is that they will want to check that the salary being paid to the foreign worker is substantially the same as what was written in the offer of employment, or at least not less favorable than what was written there. And if that's the case, then it could become an issue for the employer. If the salary turns out to be more or significantly more than what was originally indicated in the offer of employment, then the government could conclude that the type of job that the foreign worker was really coming to fill was actually, the roles were actually different from what was indicated, because the salary suggests that the foreign worker is being paid for a different role. So that potentially could be problematic, or it could be a situation where, if it's a situation where the foreign worker is being promoted or so on, then the job would have changed and a new offer of employment would have been required. So wages are important in these types of offers of employment, because they allow the government to be able to track to the employer, to ensure that the employer is conforming to the salary that would have been indicated originally. And the salary indicated originally must have been guided by the median prevailing wage as they would have existed at the time that the application was filed and that the offer of employment was submitted. All right. So I trust you found value from this. As always, remember to like our videos so that others will see more videos like this. Subscribe to our channel so that you'll be notified the next time we publish a video. And check us out on our channel at our site at go.gooselaw.com. Thanks. See you again.